Hello everybody, welcome to Suzerain. Now, I've played this game a little bit, and I've always been kind of curious just because it's been a game that has been recommended to me multiple times because of the type of the game I like to play. Also, welcome to Strategy Saturday. I should have said that in the beginning, but here we are. This is also just another bit. I'm really waiting until school finishes, which is next week, so then I can actually start really focusing on the Ultimate General game. I know I keep postponing it, and I do apologize. I know most people are like excited to watch that again. I will get back to that. I promise. I did not forget it. But we're gonna start a new game. This is maybe only gonna be like 1 or 2 episodes, but new game. The game name, YouTube. How about that? Oh, I can't even spell YouTube right. Done. Okay, so there's multiple kingdoms that you can be nowadays. All right, let's do Republic of Swordland. Atten Rain has been elected the 4th president of Swordland amidst a deep reception, demand for reform, and external pressures. Population is 37 million. Major power starting date was 1954. What is this? Oh, okay. I had to start. So I only played like 2 hours, so I don't really know how far this goes. I did watch a little bit of it on the YouTube before I bought it, because I mean I bought this game like 3 years ago, but still. You are my enslavement and my freedom. You are my flesh burning like a raw summer night. You are my country. I'm not even going to pronounce that name. 1908, Kingdom of Swordland. You open your eyes to this world. You came from a wealthy family in the city, a middle-income family in province. You know, me personally, I'm a middle-income person, but I'm going to say that I think the kingdom, or the president rather, should do. Anyone that becomes in power should also know what it feels like to be at the bottom. So I'm going to say impoverished family. Your parents named you Atten. As the only child of a farmer, you spend your childhood among wheat fields. Life was not easy. You're too poor to afford good education. The Rain family was caring regardless of the economically dire situation. Your parents always did their best to support you. The years passed. During a history class at school, the bell started to ring out unexpectedly. You heard a loud commotion outside. As everyone tried to figure out what was going on, the principal announced the historic revolution. The kingdom was no more. The Republic of Swordland was born. You did not fully understand. You're happy. I'm gonna say I did not fully understand, because I mean, if he was I don't know, can I click that? Nope. The only home you've ever known. So honestly, I'm either fully understand or somewhat worried. I'm gonna say fully understand. After graduating, you passed the university exam with high marks. Even though your family is poor, the public education system made it possible to go to university. You had opportunity to choose between several studies: law, economics, or history. Personally, I'm a history major, so I'm kind of partial to the history. So, although I've always been curious about law school, but I can't afford it. It's way too expensive. I want to go to law school. Like I would love to be a lawyer to help people. In fact, I'm going to do that. During the first year, you attend a lecture with David Wishki. Your teacher and mentor from the university is the son of the first president of Swordland, the revolutionary Arthur S. Wishki. He is a well-known diplomat from the foreign ministry and son of the president. After observing the hall in silence, he explained how the Supreme Court is obstructing justice in Swordland. He stated that laws should be applied fairly and that even the members of the Supreme Court are subject to the same laws. You agreed in principle. You question what you're being taught. I mean, given the current climate of in America right now, I personally say I agreed with this in principles. Regardless of who you are on the totem pole, all laws apply to you. Soldiers entered the campus in the evening ahead of the first election. Many were in shock as the uniformed men created a security cordon and started arresting the teachers. A group of students started gathering in protest along with your best friend Peter Vector, and you decided to protest. One of the officers made a loud announcement that echoed through the campus. General Luderin, the nationalist general who led a military coup and declared martial law in 1927, declared martial law in order to restore the administration. Please stand back and disperse to your rooms. You joined the students that slowly marched toward the large group of soldiers. Suddenly, the soldiers attacked. A student fell and was trampled as everybody started running away. I'm gonna hold my ground. The soldiers beat you relentlessly. It was a gloomy year. The arrested teachers were replaced by those that promoted conformism to the state. Holstern turned a blind eye to things that were happening. The capital. Okay, you didn't want to stay idle, so you decided to join. Honestly, student council for the memes. If you know anime, you know that meme. The council is focused on increasing the student involvement in campus along with partaking in the budget. Though active participation, you gain budget management and leadership skills. In one of the meetings, Peter Vectorn introduced you to a classmate of his, Monica. You immediately were attracted. The love of your life. Her intelligence. I love smart. She mentioned to you that she was a volunteer for the Swordish League of Women's, an organization campaigning for women's rights. You told her you wholeheartedly support it, weren't particularly interested. Wholeheartedly support. I think regardless of gender or whatever you identify as, everyone is, should get the same rights. The politically charged environment led you to the socialists, the national. I don't know about that one. Young swords. I don't want to be nationalist because that usually has bad connotations. Although socialist also doesn't have very good connotation either. But I'm gonna choose socialist just because anarchy. The radio relayed that the Communist General Richter, the Communist General who led an attack against the military coup, surrounded Luderin, which was the capital, or the general, demanded their surrender. They refused and heavy fighting broke out across the country. You just couldn't believe it. The army was fighting amongst themselves. Swordland plunged into chaos. Rickard's sudden attack caused more instability in the country, but compared to fascist Luderin, he was a real socialist. This convinced you to participate in a support march. You chanted, freedom, equality, solidarity. You were marching on the protection of Rickard's soldiers. The students supporting Luderin's coup gathered a few hundred meters in front of you. Many nationalists were among them. You knew something was going to happen. I stayed because there was a massive clash between the two sides. Soldiers began to beat the students. Tanks started running out. In this chaotic moment, you saw a young girl about save her, but you couldn't reach her. Oh, you never forgot her face. The clashes escalated into full-blown civil war. The horrors made you isolate yourself for a while. Monica helped you cope, and love grew between the two of you. However, it was a difficult time for love. The chaos had ended. The charismatic Colonel Tarkin Sol orchestrated a sudden attack on the capital where the Luderinist and Rickardist battle. He defeated both and ended the war. A new constitution was written. The military government began efforts to restore stability. Many people saw the Colonel as a savior. He formed the United Sorland Party and ran as a presidential candidate in the first ever single party elections. I voted for him. USP won the election by a large majority. The military government announced a 4-year restoration period to transform to an entirely civilian government. After graduation, you kept seeing Monica. You were both interested in marrying and starting a family. However, a letter arrived from the military calling you to fulfill your compulsory service. It was time to serve my military. The devastating civil war from neighboring Welland quickly turned into a proxy war between regional and world powers. The distinguished Major SF Lancia ordered you to lead your squad on a border patrol mission. It was a very cold winter night when you began marching out of the Gumren outpost. I could see my breath. After several hours marching through the snow and the snowy hills, distant noises were heard. Visibility was too low to confirm the source, so the squad crawled forward in a formation and found a spot to observe. A group of refugees have made it beyond the border fence. See, this is why I would never be a good military person, because I let them slip through. After the patrol, Major arrived with anger and immediately relieved you. It just went. One of your squad members had reported your actions. After 7 months of scrubbing the floors as punishment, your duties ended and you went back to civilian life. That's fine. You and Monica decided to share your lives together after receiving the blessing of her parents. The ceremony was held in the capital of Solon, Holstein. During the same year, you worked hard to secure a high-paying job within the governing United Solon Party. It was much more difficult to start your career on a good foot because of your refugee incident, but you still managed. The financial, it was the best option to change the country for the better. You became the legal assistant to one of the more experienced members of the assembly. You worked long and hard, going through hundreds of pages of legal documents late into the night. I climbed the ladder. Tarkin Sol gave amnesty to the remaining factions of the Civil War and chose de-escalation and appeasement. The institutions and symbols of the Four Kingdom was slowly replaced. His government launched several new initiatives, such as the citizen-funded bills program to revitalize the economy, a social labor initiative to help rebuild and improve society, and a large dam project to solve the energy crisis. The first multi-party elections in the history of the Sarlands were held. He was elected once more. Given the ongoing legal battle between the Justice Ministry and the Supreme Court put you under a lot of stress, but your significant contribution to the legal case triggered an invitation to meet with Tarkin himself, who offered you a key position. You have become the largest, or the youngest, wow, I misread that hard, member of the Assembly. I accepted with doubts. As the youngest MP, it was difficult to connect with the influential inner circle. You need allies, so you brought in your best friend, the birth of your son, Frank, provided a brief moment of joy. You sacrificed work to spend time. During your absence, found trustworthy strength in your position. At the same time, increased his authority over the years. His growing ego started to cause strife within the USP. The cracks begin to show. Good lord, how far do I have to go? Okay, so I have 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. President Sol barely secured a majority in the election against the opposition leader. Over the next year, the Sortish people grew increasingly discontent with corruption and the worsening quality of life. Economic growth was slowing down. Meanwhile, calls for United Sorland Party Congress became louder as the leadership struggle started to brew. You watched from the sidelines, kept supporting, joined the internal opposition. You gave your support to Eldward Alfonso, a reformist and talented who was the main contender of the party leadership. Meanwhile, in a desperate effort to secure votes, the president was meeting parties one by one, but he didn't approach you. The Congress was nothing short of impressive. The banners were decorating thousands of blah blah blah. I voted for Alfonso. The efforts bore fruit as a continuous leadership vote was won by Alfonso. During the Congress announced that he would retire from the politics at the end of this term and appointed Alfonso as vice president. You knew the structure he had established was to stay. The country had become increasingly. You were happy that he was finally leaving. A month later, your daughter was born, named her Dina. She motivated you during the tumultuous period of the party. As the VP and leader of the USP, you began dismantling the organ structures such as the State Educator Corps and Sortish state corporations. The general were approaching. The United Scotland Party was underneath. I joined the party effort to help. During the general elections, the main opposition leader was embroiled in a sex scandal with his secretary. He was replaced by the more popular figure Fens Richer, but the damage had been done. The new economic policies and extensive privatization program endorsed by Alfonso secured over the following years. You better place, tried all the kind of dedicated. I want to make Sorland a better place. In government and law, presidency saw many bold reforms in government and law, advanced in liberal democratic values. He values your support, however, due to infighting continental economic decisions and fast track, followed by a stiff year. The other parties announced their bids for the 53. I was worried. Thought your party could not survive. I was worried about the economic reception. With you president to US, the two of you worked long nights together. He flipped opponents to your side. You became the new face of a new wing of the party. Step by step and with adequate planning, your wing took over the leadership. As President Alfonso lost control of the country, the moment to make a move, I advised him to step down. I ain't doing any. He listened to your advice. Alfonso conceded the leadership struggle, and the party eventually voted you in because of your indisputable influence. Following this, you announced that you would be running for president in the general election with Peter as your running mate. It was my turn. After visiting every city and town during the campaign, you made a speech on state. You promised to enact democratic reforms. The people are tired of empty promises. We need fundamental change in our institutions and governments. The solid and transparent democracy awaits us. Brothers and sisters, a new constitution and a new age is upon us. The broadcast ended. On election days, millions went out to cast their votes. It was time to face the truth. That was 15 minutes of me just talking. Good lord. Okay, now we get to make my character. Choose the distinct look of President Anton reign. The confirmed style will remain throughout the story and you won't be able to change it later. Okay. Honestly, kind of digging the hair. That one. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna make mine freaking old grandpappy. Maroon suit, Sorlin first. Tuxedo, grand. White suit, default. Maroon suit. Maroon, red, turquoise, office. Yeah, let's just do office. Pipe, cigar, thin glasses, brown glasses, black glasses. Black glasses. I'm good with this. Sure. Yes. Okay. As At and Rain, you have made consequential promises to the people of Suzerain to gain their votes in the 1953 election campaign. After recent market reforms and recession, the country found itself between two different economic systems, with indecision in terms of the population to demand. Personally, planned economy is good, but market economy is what we have. I'm going to do promote market economy. The global rivalry between capitalists, Arcaea in the west, and the monarchy in the north, and the communists in the east has potential to align with others. At the moment, I'm going to remain neutral. I don't want to get involved in any of that. In the last 5 years, immigrants flocked to us due to the relaxed immigration law. As a result, these tensions are causing. We're going to toughen immigration laws. Hopefully smart. Turn focus: education, defense, law enforcement, health. I want to do education. Yes. 2 weeks have passed since we won the election, and now I am about to be sworn in as the 4th president of Swordland. Thousands were watching the inauguration ceremony and cheering my name, At and Rain. The die was cast, and there my story began. In the distance, the Maroon Palace stood on top of the famous Hill of Pride. I had no way of knowing what future awaited me there. I looked at my family. My son and my daughter, Frank and Dina, were next to Monica, my wife. Her eyes were glittering with pride. Then I turned towards the key people who made it all possible. Of course, each individual was found in an important position. My previous rival and former president, who gave me a slight note, was also invited. He didn't leave his island retreat. And my thoughts slowly faded away. The reality of the situation dawned on me. Orso Hawker, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was waiting for me. The time for the oath has come. I am ready. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear that I will respectfully execute in the office of the President of Swordland, and to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Swordland. Ooh, wow. That's cool. It gives you a little codex. That's neat. You may now deliver your inauguration speech, Mr. President. It is an honor. Dear citizens of Swordland, let's do change and hope. Since that worked, you, the people, have chosen. Together we will bring prosperity and reform to our nation. It is a time of hope, and it is time of change. In the past, there have been times of survival, times of conflict and economic hardship too, but whenever we stood together, we prevailed. The first, we must rewrite our broken constitution from 1929. It is time for united and powerful Swordland once again. Hundreds of thousands cheers there, shouting my name in unison. I felt the responsibility, the power, and the burden all at the same time. Wave. I waved at the crowd, which made the people cheer louder. I took a long look at the people of Swordland to burn this moment into my memory. One of the present guards came to notify me that it was time to leave. I made my way leading to the motorcade. The presidential state car was a jet black Kadala with flags of Starland above the front headlights. Next to it, a man was holding the door. Hello, Mr. President. I still felt euphoric from the aftermath of hearing my new title made me smile even more. If you allow me to introduce, I'm Serge, your new driver. Nice to meet you. It's an honor. He respectfully, I entered the car. We will be heading towards the palace. The motorcade begins to move. On the way, Serge proceeded to explain. As minutes passed by, I found myself lost in thought again, barely paying attention to what he suddenly gestured out the window. Isn't it a beauty, the Maroon Palace? He was right. Sunlight glinted off the palace's many maroon-colored domes. It was so bright I had to look away. Every time I look at it, I am reminded of my duty to this nation. It is in good hands now. So do I, Serge. It's the beating heart of the nation, after all. We owe a great debt to the men who led the country from here. Their service will not be for. The guard drove past him and continued uphill entrance. Serge got out of the car, opened the door to me. Have a great day. was he referred to the famous Swedish phrase from the times of revolution, Morgana Westcor Versen Sizda, which means morning will come, victory is close. I made what marble engraved wood finishes. My footstep echoed in the colossal. The guards bowed their head in respect as I opened the massive door to my new office. Oh man, this has been a long video, and I just started. All right, so we have 7 news, overview, connections, codex, journal. 7. Let's look at the news. The long-stalled campaign bill was once again taken center stage in the Grand National. The bill, first proposed during the Alfonso, has now been put on hold due to the 19th, but has now been resurrected under the proposed amendments ensure a more proportional allocation of the public funds, more accurately reflecting the parliament's influence within. The president has been sworn in duty in a great ceremony. Thousands have attended this overhead minute front, and his inauguration spoke about change and hope, bringing focus on together we will bring prosperity and reform to our nation. It is a time of hope. It is a time of change, said the new president before he started his first day. New president sworn in, blah blah blah. I managed to get 37%. Thousands of supporters, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Economics. A new era begins for Sun and holds many on top. With consultant from NADA has released a certain section of the reports, the last 2 4-year plans of the plan doctrine that created budget deficit that was specifically due to mismanagement. The year-on-year growth, budget balance, and production index, with the help of has come to the conclusion that it was actually caused, but by the drastic obstruction of state executive hindering President Ryan must take advantage of the plan economy proposed around him with a pinch of salt. Otherwise, he could find himself in the Spain spot in the mid-40s. All right, restructure the infrastructure. The government's role begins duty. Becoming fighter. New terms. Okay. Another USP. How many times before? We've seen this before. All right. So I have my personal wealth as a 1. I have a lot of things. Lauren. There's a lot to learn right off the bat. Okay, so overview. Compulsive, currently active. The military, yep, and then general staff. And then this, military. There's a bunch of that are here. Law, economics. Okay. Briefing on the current political situation. Arrived at Peter Beck, my best friend. Look at him. He was struggling to. We did it, Atten. We finally did it. Finally, all those years of hard work with noses to the grindstone. His eyes sparkled. The strain of the past month that put the damper on his usual rakish charm, but today he was looking and acting like his old self again. He loosened his tie and joined the new secretary I picked out for you. Thought you'd appreciate her because it's a shame the rest of it. He gestured to the slight pouch that protruded over his waistband. But hey, back to the university. Did you ever imagine we would be sitting here in the Maroon Palace? We have to celebrate this great victory. I say we will celebrate and just hang in there until the looking forward to it. Evelyn hopes to congratulate you in person there. I'm sure the kids would love to see their uncle for the first time. That's great. It's crazy how fast the two have grown. You are a good father. Had wistful look. He had never been able to have kids of their own during our campaign. The opposition that flowed the rumor that he told it, but it had never been substantiated. The door swung open, and my chief strategist walked in. He was a compact man with sharp bread-like features. Which brings from all, he sat down, poured a glass of water, and opened his briefcase. Gentlemen, 3 o'clock. Damn, you're exactly on time. Hello, Peter. Then turns. He's very slightly bowed his head. Glad to see you. How are you? I am ready and able, sir. Spoke in soft clipped tones that immediately drew your attention towards what he had to say. Peter and I waited for him to proceed. Let's start by evaluating our current situation. The majority of the Swedish people demand change. They are more concerned about the economy than the Constitution, but they blame the system for their problems. People are losing their trust in our democracy. Why do you think radicals like Bernard Circus are becoming more popular? Everyone's expecting us to bring the change the last government did not. Francis Richter, the leader of the reformists, believes that true change can only be accomplished by transferring some of our powers to the assembly. I'll move into the details that are manned shortly. I agree with our responsibility is to democratize our broken system. We need to listen to the people if we want to serve this country. If we lose power, we won't be able to execute the changes. Let's see. I personally think that the president shouldn't have as much power as possible. I think it should be spread evenly between the three parties like it was envisioned in our constitution, questionably. I just don't know which one. I'm going to choose that one. That's exactly what a true change that will move this country forward. We will need many allies against the old guard and the government. Mr. Richard managed to persuade many members of the Assembly to give their support to crafting a new constitution. Reformist politicians are quickly increasing in number. While the reformist wing inside our party is still in the minority, they could have a tripartisan majority in the Assembly, especially if they unite under friends Richard. The USB reformers aren't wrong to agree that we need change, but we should be in charge, should be a potential ally in our goal. Our party must fall in line with our position. Before his political economics, he was known. I want to see if we can make him an ally. He's definitely key in this. The reformist demands are clear. They want to limit the president's veto powers, insert the Supreme Court as independent, and take away the court's right to vote on constitutional amendments. I support the reformants. We need proper balance. I agree, we can't ignore the winds of change after all. The old guard will do its best to preserve the Constitution. Chief Justice Hawker and his allied judges have a great influence over the Supreme Court, which will be tough to break. The court also has the final say over Constitution. Without their approval, we cannot change it. Alright, we need a comprehensive bill to balance the power structure more fairly. I agree, the old guard won't like this though. A comprehensive reform. Blah blah blah, maintaining the, which means removing your asset. The reformers demand that all loopholes are closed. Looks like we have a lot of challenges ahead. We figured our party still holds 130 out. We have got the power. However, the reformers, the Constitution will receive the 2/3 majority, which is 166 votes, and 6 votes on the Supreme Court. Oh Jesus! Must they get the 150? Need to start the process. Following the green light. We will reach out to the other party members. The last step is to convince the justices, and it will take a long time, but we must start working with reform committee as soon as possible. No, not the president. We will write a more democratic constitution. That's what we've been preparing for. Don't forget the promise is what the key thing here is strengthening the power of the assembly, which we already lead. Yes, the divisions of power need to be rebalanced. According to the initial draft we made, there are 2 changes that are not open for their discussion. First, the Supreme Court will no longer hold vote on constitutional amendments. The fact that that actually happened is insane. Second, the president absolutely will be taken away. This can be replaced with a limited veto system by fixing current loopholes. I have no problems with either of those. I have no problems. Let's work. Yes, sir. All right, we will form a reform committee together with all parties and start reaching out to all the stakeholders in the assembly and the court for a new constitution. By later in the year, we should have an idea of the reform content, what other parties want. Another important point, we must be aware of the Lutherberg group. The old guard convened under this organization to influence Conrad led it for a long time before falling here. The new leader is Mr. Walter Tusk. According to reports, some members of the National are in their pockets. Tusk and the group will surely try to bribe us in exchange for... Oh. I will enter a dialogue with him eventually. We need to be diplomatic. Wise approach. It's good to understand and see if we can reach a middle ground. As far as I know, Marcel Crony has strong ties to this group. Will definitely be an asset, but I'm sure they're the group's influence is important for us. One that should be used. The group is dependent on our. Tusk is heading the group. We should make sure he's on it. I'm aware that could come in handy. We just need to be careful. He looks like the lesser evil, but could quickly turn around on the other way around. We need to tread carefully. We need to underline seriousness. Military and general staff are a powerful element, and history tells us a dangerous one too. We do have some room to make structural changes by reducing the budget, but it's quite limited. Let's see, with the Runeberg threat on the horizon, we can't reduce our defense. The military has been nothing. I want to receive advice before I make up. It's sound to listen to them, but they're very biased. Nationalism clouds your mind. General Kruger is a specter of the past. Defense Minister is more loyal to us than a fact that obviously can change with our actions. Either way, I see a potential rift between the two since they're clearly of different minds. If we act strongly against the military, both of those guys will unite against it. I agree with Luce. We need to tread carefully. Yep. Well then, gentlemen, precisely 30 minutes. This concludes our political briefing. Our next meeting will come about our media strategy. Talk to you soon. I will see you both in the next meeting. They bid farewell and the mysterious amount of smoke was rising on the horizon. Alright, well, that is enough talking for me today. If you guys want me to, I do plan to continue this probably. I just don't know when. I might actually make this the new quote-unquote series for Strategy Saturday until I feel confident enough to do the do more of the Ultimate General War. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Sorry that my words are now jumbling together. My brain is starting to go bleh. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye bye.